is known that Russian President Vladimir Putin has lost more than 100,000 soldiers on Ukrainian soil. It is known that Putin attaches great importance to recruiting volunteer soldiers and mercenaries to fight on Ukrainian soil. However, the high number of mercenaries sent by Putin to Ukraine led to the emergence of groupings within the army. The disputes between the mercenaries sent by Putin to Ukraine and the soldiers of the Russian army have come to the agenda again. A 300-strong contingent of soldiers that Vladimir Putin sent to Ukraine with the decision of partial mobilization refuses to fight on Ukrainian soil. Russian soldiers in the Russian-occupied Zaporizhia region started to question Putin's orders and decided to lay down their arms. A dispute between Russian soldiers and Wagner Group mercenaries is said to have led to the disarmament of Russian army soldiers. After Russia annexed the Zaporizhia region, it turned many settlements in this region into headquarters. The fact that Wagner soldiers and Russian soldiers stayed together in these settlements brought many problems. Allegedly, the supplies sent by the Russian government for the Russian soldiers in Ukraine are not distributed equally. When the majority of the supplies sent to the Russian army headquarters were distributed to mercenaries, there started to be chaos among the soldiers. There are 150 Wagner mercenaries in the headquarters, which is estimated to have 450 soldiers in total. The soldiers, who were included in the army with the mobilization decision, started to defy their commanders, claiming that they were starved and had only one meal a day. Allegedly, the Russian government is sending full rations to the Wagner mercenaries and incomplete rations to its own Russian soldiers. These rumors have been voiced by Russian soldiers before. Russian soldiers who were captured by the Ukrainian army mentioned in their statements after they released that they were struggling with hunger and that Russian mercenaries were always prioritized. According to information obtained from regional sources and Russian Telegram channels, Russian soldiers started to create unrest within the army. The Russian commander, who did not want the incident to escalate further, asked for some of the rations sent to the Wagner mercenaries, and a big argument started. The verbal argument between the Russian commander and the Wagner mercenaries led to further tension between the soldiers, and Russian soldiers and Wagner mercenaries clashed. At the end of the chaos, a 300-strong Russian contingent, including the Russian commander, refused to fight and decided to lay down their arms. The Russian commander at the head of his military unit claims that the soldiers fighting for Russia on Ukrainian territory are worthless to Putin and that the Russian government does not fully meet the needs of the Russian soldiers there. Stating that Wagner mercenaries are more valuable to Putin, Russian soldiers stated that they will leave Ukrainian territory if their basic needs continue to be unmet. The ongoing war between Russia and Ukraine is almost a year old, and the Russian soldiers sent to Ukrainian territory seem to be very tired of this situation. Due to the losses suffered by the Russian army and the unfavorable factors created by the war conditions, the problems experienced by the soldiers began to negatively affect their psychology. As a result of the failure of the Russian forces in Ukraine, Russian leader Vladimir Putin started using mercenaries instead of Russian army soldiers. Russia's largest security company, Wagner Group, sent many of its soldiers to Ukraine to fight for Russia. However, after a while, there were frequent conflicts between these mercenaries and Russian army soldiers. On the orders of Russian President Vladimir Putin, the Wagner Group sent more than 20,000 mercenaries to Ukraine. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner Group company, recalled his mercenaries in Libya by order of Vladimir Putin and started to send them to Ukrainian territory. These disputes between Wagner mercenaries and Russian soldiers have become a frequent topic on Russia's agenda. Russian soldiers had previously claimed that Wagner mercenaries were always behind the front lines, and that the real fighting was done by real Russian soldiers. The number of Wagner mercenaries operating in Ukraine continues to grow. Putin, who has lost many soldiers since the middle of the war, had a meeting with Yevgeny Prigozhin and asked him to provide new Russian soldiers to the Ukrainian territory. Prigozhin then tried to recruit many Russian citizens to fight in exchange for money. As it is known, it came to the agenda a while ago that Yevgeny Prigozhin tried to recruit soldiers from prisons in Russia. In order to increase his dominance in Ukraine, Prigozhin collected prisoners from Russian prisons and included them in the mercenaries of the Wagner Company. This is exactly what Russian soldiers are complaining about. Even prison inmates are being forced to fight on Ukrainian soil in exchange for money, while Russian men, part of whom are included in the army with the declaration of mobilization, are being forced to fight. Tens of thousands of Russian citizens have left Russia just to avoid fighting on Ukrainian soil. Russian leader Putin pays more attention to using mercenaries in the important cities he is trying to capture. These specifically trained soldiers are now being sent to the regions where the hottest conflicts are taking place in Ukraine. There are quite a lot of mercenaries in the city of Soledar, which the Russian army is currently trying to capture. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the owner of the Wagner Company, wants to capture the Ukrainian city of Soledar himself. For this reason, Prigozhin has sent the majority of mercenaries from the Ukrainian territory to the Soledar front. The reason why Prigozhin wants this city so much is thought to be the underground resources that Soledar has. It is claimed that if Soledar is captured by Russia, the salt production facilities and salt resources here will fall under Prigozhin's control. For this reason, the Ukrainian army is now concentrating on the Soledar region and does not want to lose this city. If the Ukrainian army completely loses the Soledar region, the city of Bakhmut will also be under threat. If Ukraine loses the city of Bakhmut, it may lose the entire Donetsk region. Bakhmut is of great importance for both sides because of its location. This would give Russia a huge advantage in the war between Russia and Ukraine. In order not to lose the city of Soledar, Ukrainian leader Zelensky plans to completely remove the occupying Russian forces from Soledar by activating one of Ukraine's most popular units, the Azov Battalion. The Ukrainian army continues to advance in the city of Soledar with the special operation launched by the Azov Battalion, which has previously fought on many fronts in Ukraine. It is said that 12 Russian soldiers were neutralized during the day in the operation launched by the Azov Battalion, which is estimated to be close to 2,000 people. Although Russian leader Putin claims that the city of Soledar is completely under Russian control, the Ukrainian government does not say the same. The Ukrainian state leader Zelensky stated that Russia has not yet managed to occupy Soledar, and the fighting in this region continues unabated, and it turned out that Putin had lied. Everyone is aware of Vladimir Putin's propaganda and manipulations during the war, which is why the Russian people don't trust his words as much as they used to.